By the end of my first year of uni, much to the disturbance of my friends I would walk with, I couldn't walk from one side of my campus to the other without being interrupted by minimum 5 people who I just happened to know from somewhere. And every time after our little 2-minute catch-ups, my friends would always ask me, time and time again, how the hell do you just seem to know everyone? Well, this is exactly how. I'm going to very quickly summarize all the value from this video, just so you can decide for yourself whether you want to pursue it further. And before I do, very quickly, before starting university, ask anyone I went to secondary school with, but I was the most antisocial, shy, awkward, nerdy kid ever. I genuinely, the idea of approaching a stranger or even just being on the phone with someone, even just the idea of being on a phone call made my heart race. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Anyone can do it. And the message to take away from that, or like if any from this video, is that when you're starting out at university, you are a blank slate. You're a blank canvas. No one knows anything about you. All they see is this. All the hundreds of people you're going to spend the next 3-4 years of your life with, you can portray any version of yourself you want to. You can portray the most sociable or even anti-sociable person. You're in such a uniquely lucky and powerful position. That being said, there are 3 main parts to this video. Number 1, where to actually find all these people to get to know. Simple. Diversify. Number 2, how to actually start approaching people and have conversations, but the mental aspect of them. Again, easy. Stop putting other people on a pedestal. And number 3, the practical side of how to start conversations and approach people, which is also very easy. Have set default phrases ready and actively pursue further contact. Those are the main points of value from the video. If you're satisfied with that, then by all means, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy. But if you do want a bit more elaboration, here we go. Number 1, diversify. What do I mean? I believe that diversity of thought is one of the most important, powerful values that we can have as humanity. And to transfer to this particular situation, it's not enough just getting to know people from your lectures or your group work. You know, you have your dormitories, your halls, which, by the way, are absolutely perfect for this because you're guaranteed to meet so many people from different courses, different backgrounds, different interests. Halls are fantastic for this. And not just your flatmates, don't leave it there. You know, other people in your building. Again, not just your lectures or group work, but societies or sports clubs, or even just public transport if you share the same, commute. I have a short anecdote I'm going to tell you, anecdote timer up here so you know I'm not wasting your time. At some point in the first week of university, I was just heading from my halls building to my tube station. It's a 3-4 minute walk at most. And a few meters ahead of me, I thought I recognized someone from, I couldn't quite put my finger on it where from, but I remembered his name. So I ran up to him, I did that awkward little, speed walk you do when you're catching up to someone. And I was like, oh, hey, are you his name? And we spent that entire 45-minute tube ride just chatting. And to this day, 5 years later, he remains one of my best friends. We've explored and traveled around the whole world together. Love you, man. If you're watching this, you know exactly who you are. That just goes to show you can have such spontaneous, beautiful, wholesome encounters from the most random places. Number 2, the mental side of trying to approach people. Now, if you think about some reasons you might potentially, find a struggle or, be socially anxious about approaching new people, why might that be? Well, it could be because you don't want to leave a bad impression of them, you don't want them to think that you're like strange or weird, or like you don't want to say something wrong or stumble upon your words or whatever. No, it shouldn't be whether they have a bad or good impression of you, it's whether you have a bad or good impression of them. You're the one doing the favor, you're the one going out your way. Take them off the pedestal, put yourself on the pedestal, but in a confident way, not an arrogant way. There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance. And I have another anecdote to tell you. Anecdote timer is back up now. I very recently went to a conference in Latvia. And the first day, the first coffee break we had, we were all in our groups of who already knew each other, and there was a girl sat on the table on her own. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try to be the person that I want to be. And I went up to her and I started a conversation. It was a lovely conversation. And throughout the rest of the conference, we had more lovely chats here and there. And on the final day of the conference, on I think the final coffee break, she turned to me and she said, by the way, I'm so glad that you came up to me on that first day because I'm not a very social person. I'm not very good at talking to new people. And I was really waiting for someone who's more sociable, who's better at talking to new people to come up to me and start a conversation. And I'm really, really glad that you did that. When I tell you there are few better feelings in the world, when you're starting out university, any of these hundreds of people could, and most definitely most of them will be, that person just waiting for someone else who's a bit more social, a bit more talkative to come up to them and strike a conversation. Someone might seem like the most confident person ever, they've got everything in order, which I guarantee they're not, and they don't. You can be the person that makes people say, damn, I'm so glad we're friends and that you came up to me all those months and years ago. Number 3, the practical side of starting a conversation. How do you make sure a conversation goes smoothly and you come out of it successfully? The first tip I would say is have some set or like default phrases ready for different situations. And maybe this is like a low-key autistic way of going about conversations, like very like logistically, analytically planning things. And also, I know it's cringe to say that you're autistic when you're not like diagnosed or anything. And like, let's leave that. What I like to use first of all when approaching someone is, oh, sorry to bother you, or excuse me, sorry to bother you, which is great because you're immediately apologizing, you're putting yourself in a front of a position, making them feel comfortable, you're respecting their time, you're being polite. It's fantastic. And then on the other hand, if you're trying to leave a conversation, or the other person's trying to leave a conversation, or there's a bit of an awkward lull in the conversation, I'll let you get on with your day now. I'll let you get on. You're allowing them to get on with their day. You're again making them feel comfortable. I have a bunch more tips like this and including this in a video I made quite a while ago now, which I think personally, if I do say so myself, is very excellent and very efficient. And it's just a bunch of hidden gems and my best advice on how to become more socially confident. And I really think if you're finding value from this video, you will find so much value from that video as well. It'll be linked up here or up there. I always forget which side it is. And the second thing is to always have some actionable outcome, whether this is maintaining a contact. By the way, it needs to be said, not everyone deserves your attention or contact or time or whatever. If you're not feeling someone's vibe or they just don't really seem like they're a great person, you don't have to continue talking to them. You don't have to get that contact. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You can just leave them be and say, all right, good talking to you, see you later. But if you are feeling someone's vibe, if you think someone could potentially be a good friend or just a good connection, whatever, they seem cool, then always either, try and get their contact or something. You can genuinely just say like, oh, what are you up to right now? What are your plans? Because most of the time, especially at the start of university, when people have so many gaps in their schedules, they don't really have a lot to do, they don't really know what to do, people will have a bunch of free time. Do you want to go grab a bite to eat? Or, oh, what do you have planned? And they say, oh, nothing much really. You can say, oh, do you want to go explore the building or the campus or something? I'm trying to get myself more familiar with my surroundings. It's fantastic. This is a surefire way to have some incredible, wholesome, spontaneous evenings and get to know people so much better out of thin air, And that brings me on to the end of this video. And this is hopefully a part 1 in a series of videos about advice for starting university or whether you're already in university. Regardless, I guarantee you'll get some value from these videos. And that is all. I'll let you go on with your day now. See you later.